So Hailey Bieber has just sold Rhode for £1 billion. And the big plot twist is that she hasn't sold it to LVMH, Estee Lauder, L'Oreal. No, she's sold it to E.L.F. Beauty. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about how that changes everything for vegan beauty brands that are looking to scale up, as well as talking about some issues I see with this acquisition and the buyout culture in general. So if you're new around here, hi, my name's Nicole. I've been vegan for 17 and a half years and I love talking about food, lifestyle, beauty in relation to veganism and sustainability and ethics and stuff like that. In today's video, we're talking about E.L.F, Rhode, beauty buyouts, and kind of like the legacy of it, the concerns around it, and the direction it is all moving into. So look, I love independent beauty brands. I think they are the backbone of the beauty industry, and I especially love the ones that create companies out of the desire to change the industry. Whether that's normalizing cruelty-free beauty, challenging the way we package our beauty products, or pushing for diverse shade ranges on our shelves and making that the norm. Independent beauty brands are more often than not the reason behind any push for good we see in the beauty industry, and they're the ones dragging the legacy brands to meet new standards set by them and encouraged by customers. But let's be real, not every new beauty brand is out here to change the industry. A lot of them are just here to scale up and sell out. It can be really lucrative to sell beauty brands. And for a lot of founders, that is the goal, which can sometimes be pretty brutal for the customers who have supported the brand, supported their ethics, only to see them sell out to a brand that doesn't really embody any of what they've supported. I'd say like the 2010s were the peak buyout years. We're talking like REN, Murad, Drunk Elephant, Urban Decay, Tarte, The Ordinary, Too Faced. Loads of cruelty-free brands got snapped up, and most of them bought by non-cruelty-free conglomerates like Unilever, L'Oreal, or Estee Lauder. I think a lot of the reason why this is happening is like the internet, the rise of online sales, and the rise of independent brands being able to really challenge the established ones and do things a bit differently. And the big brands could really contain that impact by buying out the independents. Like the big historical brands were kind of like losing touch with millennials and eventually Gen Z as well, I guess. And by buying these independent brands, they could stay a bit more relevant and a bit more appealing to the younger generations. Plus, we had a lot of like more liberal values going mainstream in the 2010s. God, I miss that period right now. But obviously stuff like vegan and cruelty-free were definitely becoming a lot more mainstream and a lot more expected, and we're helping really propel brands forward. Plus like more like LGBTQ friendly, gender fluidity, that sort of stuff was also really prominent in rising brands that the legacy brands really were not tied to. And it was easier for these big brands to kind of just buy those brands which had this movement and this message. And for the founders, like I say, it was a really big appeal. They put a lot of time and energy into building a successful beauty brand. And for a lot of them, they are just exhausted and ready to hand over the reins and take the money and go. And I think it can just be quite frustrating as a customer because you're watching all these founders start businesses to get rich, not to start a new brand that does things better. I don't want to just say it's all about greed. I think sometimes these founders do get a bit burnt out and they are happy to hand over the reins and get access to the scale up and resources that these big companies have when they sell out and are acquired. But as a consumer going through the 2010s, that was shopping cruelty-free. It was just really exhausting seeing all these cruelty-free brands get bought up by these bigger companies that I was boycotting. And like, if you're not familiar with cruelty-free ethics, I would say there is a divide in the cruelty-free customer base when it comes to acquisitions. Some people just care whether or not the company stays cruelty-free. So if you've got a company and it's certified cruelty-free by like Leaping Bunny or Peter, or even just one of the cruelty-free blogs, that's fine, that's enough for them. But for other people, it doesn't matter if this brand's cruelty-free, but the people that own them are not. Like, your money trickles up, right? And we don't want to fund people that think animal testing is okay. That's kind of a hard line for a lot of vegans. There are two different approaches in the like vegan cruelty-free community. Neither one's necessarily right, but I generally care about the parent company and would really rather choose one of the many cruelty-free brands out there who are just cruelty-free. Not cruelty-free, but there's a parent company that isn't, you know? But this was a huge debate going on in the 2010s and could really make or break it for a brand when it got acquired. It doesn't always go horribly wrong. I really think it depends on how much animal rights and being cruelty-free and ethical is really tied into the brand. A lot of the brands that sold out in 2010s were vegan and cruelty-free, but there wasn't their main selling point. But for example, a brand like The Body Shop, which was founded on like animal rights and ethical sourcing, when they got sold to L'Oreal in 2006, the backlash was immense and intense. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it even since. It's just like a PR disaster. The Body Shop lost so many of their loyal customers, and honestly, I don't think they ever really recovered from that, especially when the founder, Anita Roddick, actually died like a year after the acquisition. So where some people maybe thought she'd fight for the brand, be a bit of a Trojan horse, unfortunately, she never got a chance to put that into play. Those two things paired together just lost a lot of loyal fans of The Body Shop. And maybe the rise of like vegan and cruelty-free brands in 2010s actually came from like the fallout of The Body Shop L'Oreal disaster and like a huge surge in cruelty-free ethical customers trying to find the new brands to support and fund. But yeah, another one we had was REN Skincare, which was more focused on like kind of like clean, environmental, but also was cruelty-free. They got acquired by Unilever, and just this year, Unilever have announced like REN's closure later this year. And I wonder if that's a similar thing where it just was a bit of a mismatch. If you're looking for a sustainable eco brand with those sort of ethics at their core, it might bother you that their owner is one of the biggest plastic polluters, and you may want to just find a different brand to go support, because there are alternatives out there with similar ethics, similar price levels, similar quality, but no big bad parent company.
A legacy clean beauty brand just got shut down, but the reason why might surprise you, and it's a lesson for every brand today. REN Skincare used to be a pioneer, one of the first to push clean beauty into the mainstream, but after being bought by a major corporation, it slowly lost what made it special. Obviously, that's not the first time that this has happened. Big companies often buy small brands thinking they can scale the magic, but here's the truth. You can't mass produce authenticity. When you swap out the founders, water down the vision, and try to fit a niche brand into a mass market mold, you lose the soul of the brand. Also, clean beauty isn't a unique selling point anymore. It's kind of just expected. So consumers have evolved, but many of these early brands didn't evolve with them. Trying to sell values from 2005 in a 2025 market, it just doesn't land.
Okay, so you might be wondering, where does this all tie into Rhode and E.L.F? Well, here's a bit of the backstory of the two brands. If you're not familiar with Rhode, it's founded by Hailey Bieber, married to Justin Bieber. It was founded just in 2022. So they have had massive growth in just 3 years. It's incredible. I fear the brand might be best known for selling a phone case to go with your lip balm, which I personally found a bit icky, not a big fan of, but it went viral. It was a huge moment. And I'd say the brand in general was very much known for clean girl aesthetic. Obviously had Hailey Bieber as the founder and the face of the brand. And not only did she embody the clean girl aesthetic, but she also seemed to manage to make trends out of nothing, like glazed donut and strawberry girl makeup. But yeah, she was the look her brand sells. Rhode just bottled it and sold it.
First reaction to Hailey Bieber's new skincare line called Rhode. She is the glazed donut skincare queen. Look at that glow.
This just looks so aesthetically pleasing. We're gonna do my morning skincare, and I'm gonna tell you what I think about Rhode products. I am not a pro at skincare, but we keep up with the trend, and whatever Hailey Bieber tells us we do, we do.
Personally, I don't really get the appeal. I don't know if it's like just bigger in America or bigger with Gen Z, but I don't get it. But yeah, it's just generally like minimalist aesthetic, and it also is vegan and cruelty free. I would say these days a lot of celebrity beauty brands are, especially when they're trying to cater towards like the younger market, like millennials and Gen Z, mostly because I think it's kind of icky to just be associated with animal testing, right? And as a celebrity brand in particular, you just don't want that to be something people associate you with. So I reckon that's why. But yeah, vegan and cruelty free. Not something I really necessarily think were important values for Hailey Bieber, but yeah, happy to see that she chose that route. And then E.L.F, if you aren't aware of them, they've been going since like 2004. I went vegan in 2007, and I remember like seeing them as a US brand, super affordable and vegan and cruelty free. And I was just so confused because over in the UK, all the vegan cosmetics at that time that were like very loud, proud vegan, easy to say were vegan, were like so expensive. And I was just like looking on the internet being like, America has it so good. They've got this brand, Eyes, Lips, Face, and they're fully vegan. And honestly, I'm still a bit confused as to when E.L.F stopped being like that really budget vegan brand and became what they are now. I just, I blinked and suddenly everyone was obsessed with E.L.F, and it was like a really cool moment to see like this vegan brand just become kind of an it girl brand. And I'd probably guess it is because of the affordable price point and their ability to dupe.
Let's do a full face of E.L.F. dupes versus the high-end original. We're gonna do the high-end on this side. I'm starting with the Milk Hydra Grip. This is a great gripping primer, but it makes me break out really bad. E.L.F. gave us the Power Grip Primer, which this one thankfully does not make me break out.
I think E.L.F. just duped Dior, and let me show you why. I just tried the new E.L.F. lip oil, but I did not think that this would be a dupe for the Dior one. It's minty, first off, just like the Dior one.
You can't tell me this was an accident. E.L.F. really has no chill because they're out here duping everybody. Maracuja Juicy Lip is $24 and this E.L.F. pen is $8.
E.L.F. just dropped all of these new dupes. We have to try them out. This is supposed to be a dupe for a $182 bottle of vitamin C. It's $16. I don't know how E.L.F. does it, but they've done it again. E.L.F.'s Invisible Sunscreen Stick. This is supposed to be a dupe for something from Supergoop. I just know it.
They can see a viral product and recreate it at a lower price point a lot quicker than most brands can. And I think that is where a lot of E.L.F.'s growth came from. They have acquired another brand before Hailey Bieber. It was Naturium in 2023. But like, I've not heard that brand. It really didn't make headlines. But yeah, this one with Hailey Bieber, I think, was really put like E.L.F. on the map. I didn't know they'd gone from like independent, darling little vegan brand with budget beauty all the way up to being in the position to be able to splash out $1 billion on acquiring a beauty brand. And this is what changes everything. Unlike the traditional beauty stories we saw of the past where your favorite beauty brand like Charlotte Tilbury or The Body Shop or Ren would get brought out by a brand who didn't align on the animal testing ethics, and the consumer's stuck here being like, am I ready to give up this brand? Especially like back in the day when there weren't that many cruelty-free brands. There are a lot more now, but back in the day there were very few and far between. And when you'd watch this incredible brand that you've really grown with and supported just suddenly get snatched out from under your fingers, you're like, oh, not again. Oh, honestly, you had to be there. It was so frustrating. It felt like every month there was a new acquisition and it kind of like teetered off. We'll get into that in a little bit. This is potentially putting an end to that. Like, I don't know how many people are shopping Rhode because it's vegan and cruelty-free, but the point is, E.L.F. has become an acquirer, and it is setting the stage for maybe a new trend in the beauty industry, a new phase of the beauty industry where you're getting these newer beauty brands built on newer values. Like, there's now a chance for vegan beauty brands to get acquired by E.L.F. and them to start out this whole like vegan legacy. And it's really interesting how it's happened because I don't know if you've noticed, but there's really been a slowdown in these big beauty brands acquiring the smaller beauty brands. Like I say, it was everywhere in 2010s, and the big brands like L'Oreal and Estée Lauder are really pulling back from investing in new brands. I don't know if they just didn't see the return of investment on a lot of the ones they had in 2010s, but they're now focusing on like their core profitable legacy brands instead of focusing on like these hype brands with aesthetic appeal but unclear longevity. And it's really interesting, like if we think about like the hot brands that they bought like Becca and Urban Decay and Too Faced, like they still have a place, but they definitely had like peaks, right? And then they were acquired and it just all kind of quietened down. Maybe not immediately, but I don't know, they don't seem to have stayed mega relevant in the last few years. And some of them have closed down. I believe Becca closed down. Ren closing down as well this year. But yeah, post-pandemic, beauty brands have just been a lot less experimental and a lot less keen to invest, which is kind of leaving space for brands like E.L.F. to come in and make these acquisitions. And especially if the big brands aren't buying, there may be less competition out there, which means they might be able to make some pretty good deals for the brands who are desperate to get acquired and are just finding no buyers. It makes me wonder what other brands are E.L.F. potentially going to go after, and also what other brands are going to potentially become acquirers. Are we going to see maybe Selena Gomez's Rare Beauty start buying up other brands and start to actually become an incredible major beauty brand in her own? I wonder if we'll even see like some brands of similar ilk kind of come together and create their own sort of parent company. You know what I mean? I think we might start seeing brands get a bit creative of this and just see a new shift in the beauty industry. And yeah, I honestly think Rhode and E.L.F. are going to be a really good match. Just because like Rhode nails like the glamorous minimalism, but also creates trends and like literally, like I said, creates trends out of nothing. Whereas E.L.F. I think does bring like affordable innovation, but mostly off of the back of trends. So I think together it could be a really interesting mix. But yeah, one thing I also really want to touch on whilst we're having this conversation is just that although I really, really care about like vegan and cruelty-free when it comes to beauty products, that is just the bare minimum, and that's not where ethical beauty begins and ends. We also care about like the environment and production cycles, and it has to be said, E.L.F is horrendous for fast beauty, and both of them for like trend cycles as well. And it's not timeless, it's reactionary, it's trendy, yeah, the fast beauty alternative to fast fashion. And it's not really something I love about E.L.F. Although they hold a special place in my heart because they've been around for forever. They've really done a lot for making vegan beauty accessible, and so many people have switched onto them where they may have been buying non-vegan products before. But yeah, I find it really hard to grapple with like the fast beauty stuff of it all, and that push for more, sell. It's not the world I want to be living in, and it's not necessarily what I always want to be giving my money towards. I would much rather support brands looking to build an industry around slower consumption and ethical sourcing. But yes, I do still find it great that E.L.F becoming a major player is making vegan and cruelty-free just such a baseline. Just so, duh, of course we are. You know what I mean? So yeah, thank you for sitting down and having a chat with me. I'm not a Hailey Bieber fan. I'm also not a hater either. I think about her as little as the internet will allow me to, and I've never used any of her products. So it is incredible that I managed to talk this much about a brand I've never used. But yeah, I think it is a really interesting move in the beauty industry, and one I can't help but get excited for when it comes to the branch of vegan and cruelty-free. I do just wonder if this is actually something we're going to look back onto as being like the end of an era for old beauty brands like L'Oreal and Estée Lauder and all of these brands that still test on animals. And this could be like the new wave of new ethic-based major players. It's kind of cool. I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Do you use E.L.F? Do you use rhode? Who is your favorite truly ethical brand right now to buy from? I don't know, do you think this is a good news story? Or is it just better package capitalism? Or is it both? I'm really curious. But yeah, thank you for listening to me, Nata. I hope you enjoyed the conversation too. I find like when you're in the cruelty-free community, sometimes these are the conversations that we are really excited to have, but no one else around us cares about. So thank you for being part of this. And yeah, I'll catch you again soon. Bye. Mwah.